In this practice, we're going to focus on movement and breath that will help us to relax and restore. Now, some of the movements that we do today are going to be pretty slow, and some of them might even be still. I find it's kind of hard to get to these movements when I'm feeling really energetic or even agitated, even though it can be kind of helpful in those moments. So, if you're in that kind of energetic mood, you can add a little bit of speed to the movements or your own little adaptations and make this practice really fit for you. Now, if you find it really difficult, know that it has nothing to do with you at all. Sometimes this just takes a little bit of practice. We're not so used to being still in our lives, so just be really patient with yourself and use it as an experiment. And the next time you come back to it, you might find the experience to be a little bit different. So let's get started. All right, so if you're sitting on a chair, let's start by scooching away from the back so that we're not leaning forward or collapsing, or maybe we tilt off to one side. This will allow us to breathe a little bit more fully into our bellies. And breath is one of the best ways that we can help to relax our bodies and even our minds, especially the exhale. So pay attention to those exhale breaths. Let's notice where we're breathing right now, right? Do we feel our breath mostly in the chest or in the belly? Now, I don't know about you, but I often really hold my belly in really tight. So for this, I'm going to invite everybody to let their belly soften and allow it to get a little bit bigger. And we'll try here to breathe in for a count of 3 and breathe out for a count of 3. Let's do the first few together. So let's breathe in here for 3, 2, 1, and breathe out for 3, 2, 1. Again, breathe in 3, 2, 1, and exhale for 3, 2, 1. Now, let's do a few more on our own. You might even increase the amount of breath that you take to 4 or 5, but see what's the most comfortable. Here we go. I'm going to give us a bit of time. Now, just like that, notice what simply breathing did for you at that moment. And maybe it didn't do very much, and you might still continue to practice as we move through the rest of our sequence together. Next, we're going to move the head around in a circle. As you move your head around in a circle, start smaller, and bit by bit, you can make your circles a little bit bigger. You can also increase the speed or the tempo, but can you notice if you feel any kind of tension in the shoulders, or maybe you feel tension in one side of your neck more than the other? Now, although we will feel tension, I don't want us to feel pain at any time. So if you are feeling pain that's really sharp, just make your circles smaller, okay? Okay, switch directions, please. The other way. And if you notice things like cracking, that's really normal. Ooh, and then we'll bring our heads back up to center. Now, let's try to bring our right ear to our right shoulder. You can stay just like this, or bring your left hand out to the side and kind of pull in the opposite direction of the neck so that you get a bit more space. You can stay just like this. That might be enough. And use your exhale breaths to soften your ear a little bit more. Now, another option is taking the right hand and bringing it to the opposite ear and adding a little bit of pressure. How much pressure is up to you. It could be enough just to use the weight of your hand. Let's take 3 breaths for a count of 3. Okay, now let's soften the opposite arm. Drop the hand to the side and then bring your head back up to center. This time we go left ear, left shoulder. And if you notice that one of the sides feels a little more tense than the other, then you don't have to push as much. And then you can bring the opposite hand out to help bring some more space. Okay, again, stay here if you wish, or add the hand on top, a little bit of weight. Keeping your breaths full like we practiced in the beginning. And notice if your belly started to tense up again. See if you can soften there. Let's take one more cycle of breath. You've got this. And then drop the active arm down and then the opposite arm down and bring your head around in those circles again. Now, notice if the circles feel a little bit different this time. All right, now bring your head back up to center. This time we're going to try to include our whole spine. I'm going to turn this way so we can see a little bit better. So here we go. We're going to bring our chin in towards our chest. Roll the shoulder blades forward and then start to press your ribs back and then roll on your tailbone. Okay, and then as you inhale, you're going to lift up, looking up with the eyes, reaching up with the chest, and allowing the shoulders to come back in behind. Okay, here we go. Exhale, chin in towards chest, rounding our entire back. And then inhaling up. So we create a little banana in the back. Whew. Now we go forward and back like this. And remember, you can move this a little bit fast, or you can move it slower. When we move it slower, we kind of have an opportunity to feel into it a little bit more. Okay, now this time, as we roll our chin in towards our chest, we're gonna roll all the way down. Chin in towards chest, allow the hands to fall down towards the side. And then we're gonna come to this forward fold or forward bend. This is one of my favorite ones to release the stress in my back, but also think about here, if you can soften your jaw, soften your tongue, and the top of the shoulders. Now you might stay just like this. You might really like it here. I really like that fold forward and use gravity and our exhales to really relax. Or we can add some movement. So we roll ourselves up, and then we look up with our eyes, reach up with our chest, and then roll all the way back down. You might stay at the bottom for a few breaths, or you can continue the movement, rolling up and rolling down. All right, so continue to use your breath, especially the exhales. Right, the out breath is like an outpouring of stress, I think at least. Okay. Last time, roll down. And roll up. Now you're welcome to stay in that forward fold. You can hold it for 1 minute, 2 minutes, and breathe there. It's one of these postures that helps us to release a bit of tension in the head. So come back to it anytime you might have some tension in the head. But if you're ready to move on, then we're gonna bring our right ear to our right shoulder. We're gonna bring our right arm down towards the right side and then lift the left arm up. Ooh. As we lift that arm up, we're gonna tip over to the side. We try to keep our sitting bones or our bottom really grounded or rooted into our chair. Another way of saying that is heavy into our chair. And see if you can breathe into the opposite ribs. Right? And if you can't quite feel it, you can bring the hand so that you can feel the opposite ribs. Breathe in and out. Okay, let's do one more. Breathe in and breathe out. All right, bring yourself all the way back up. This time we allow left ear to come to the left shoulder, the left arm to become a little bit heavy, and reach the right arm up overhead. Okay. Now slowly, in a pace that feels comfortable, we tip over to the side. Did your breath stop breathing? And if you are holding your breath, it might be a sign to come up a little bit. And as we come up a little bit, it will be a little bit less hard, which generally makes it easier for us to breathe. If you found it useful to use the hand, try that for the last 2 breaths. Okay, and then we'll come all the way back to our straight spine. And now let's feel what it feels like to breathe into our belly. Is it different, the same, or subtly different? Okay, now let's link a few movements together. So we're gonna go around with our head like we did. But this time we're gonna incorporate the shoulders. I'm gonna turn this way so that we can see. And then we start to round the shoulders forward, and then go to one side and up. And then all the way around again. So we bring the circles all the way through our spine. You might even make your hips a part of the circles as well. Right? So as you do this, it might go a little bit bigger, your circles. And you can allow that to happen. But if it's not comfortable to make bigger circles, then can you find the circle that is yours right now? Okay, let's switch directions. Whew, the other way. Oh, okay, bring your head back up to center. Now, if you skipped that movement, completely understand, but join back in for this one because this one is my favorite. I know I say a lot of things are my favorite, but this is really my favorite, okay? This is gonna be a way that we can do a self-massage. So I'm gonna turn this way just so that we can see, okay? We're gonna reach the left arm out and kind of make the hand really heavy. And we're gonna start by just tapping the top of the shoulder. And as you tap the top of your shoulder, you can tap hard or you can tap soft, and then go all the way down. And then flip your palm over and go all the way up on the inside of your arm. Back to the shoulder. And then down the outside, and then flip it on the inside. And again. If there's anywhere that feels really interesting, pause there, right? And give it some extra taps, okay? And then we're gonna try a different technique. It's called the squeeze and release. So we come to the top of the shoulder, and then we squeeze the shoulder, and then we release. Do it a couple times, and release. Then to the top muscle, the big little bicep, and then down towards the tricep. And then the forearm, squeeze and release, squeeze and release. Now, it's really tender in some places, squeeze a little bit less, squeeze a little bit less. And then we'll go all the way to our hand. And then squeeze the fingers and pull, squeeze and pull. Okay, and then the last technique is going to be sweep. We sweep it all the way out. Now think about the exhales, sweeping out. Okay, and then you might shake the arm out a little. Okay, let's go to the other side. We start by tapping top of the shoulder. Now each side is completely different, so you just adjust accordingly, right? Down the outside, up the inside. Here we go. Whew. Okay, and then we switch to the squeeze and release. Starting at the shoulder, we squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. Here we go. Now, when we do this kind of self-massage technique, it gives our bodies a little message that we can relax. Right? So you can think about babies. Sometimes babies, when they're really fussy or they're crying or they're stressed out, a mom or a dad or a parent will come and just give them a little hug or a little squeeze. This is kind of what we're doing here. Okay, get to the fingers, give them a little pull. And then the last one, we sweep. Sweep. So of those 3 touches, which one felt the best? And you might use that another time. The one that feels the best. Okay, let's swing the arms out a little. Whew. Getting a bit of movement in through the shoulders, and you might hold it a little or move faster or slower. Okay, the last thing that we're gonna do before we move on is we're gonna give ourselves a little bit of a hug. We can grab opposite shoulders, and then I'm gonna turn around so that you can see. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna circle the shoulders back and circle the shoulders forward. Okay, and again, we're gonna circle the shoulders back and then forward. Okay, now we're gonna give ourselves a big, big squeeze, a big hug. Bring your chin in towards your chest. You can stay like this, or you can go back to that rounding shape of your back. Let's take 3 breaths for 3 counts. Okay, when you're ready, slowly start to roll yourself up and bring your arms out to the side. Notice how that feels, and you might think to yourself, of all of the postures that we did, what was the most relaxing? And I invite you to go back to that one as much as you'd like, or as much as you can. Let's take just 3 breaths together before we close. So breathing in for 3, if you can go up to 5, give it a try. Here we go. Breathing in and breathing out. You might even try to close the eyes if that feels comfortable. Breathing in and breathing out. Okay, last time like this. All right, so take a time and just notice how that feels. Our whole practice together, you might give it a word. And I invite you to come back another time and see if it's different at all. All right, bye for now.